Hey there, how there, ho there, Chef Cutter Diver. Welcome you to Tommy Vogel's Wrestling Finest. We're doing a singles match for you, in which we will have two Hulk Hogan um, tag belt tag teams and all that. Computer will control both wrestlers one and two. Normal pre-match setting, no limits. Now Hulk Hogan is in the classic era. We try to get as much like WWE tag belts tags for Hulk Hogan, but I don't think why Hulk really wasn't much of a tag team wrestler. The only good thing he was with was the one with um Hulk Hogan with Andre the Giant, and then the one with the mega powers. Because other than that, I don't think he really was in a tag thing. So it's a no DQ match. See the stamina and the pin rating and all that. Oh yeah, I forgot. I guess I should talk to you about why he is there. Born August 11, 1953, and died July 24, 2025, so a few weeks short of his 72nd birthday. He headlined 8 of the first 9 WrestleManias and all that. He was a part of WrestleMania 4's main event as the guy who was trying to counter Ted DiBiase having Andre the Giant in his corner. Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth had Hulk in his corner. He was a 5-time WWF champion, and he had his 1,474-day reign, the longest of the WrestleMania era ever, which is practically more than 4 years. Not even Roman Reigns had that streak. All that, blonde horseshoe mustache and his bandanas because he was balding like no one's business. He won back-to-back Royal Rumbles in 1991 before the Royal Rumble was meant to win, and you get a WWE Championship match at WrestleMania. Of course, he was the champ in 90. He wasn't the champ in 91, but yeah, he won Royal Rumbles. His match with Andre the Giant on February 5th, 1988, in the main event, which was an offshoot of Saturday Night's main event, still holds American TV viewership ratings with a 15.2 Nielsen rating and 33 million viewers. He departed the WWF in 1993, pursued a career in film and television. Hogan, with his stupid backstage politics, not the politics with Trump, but the backstage politics, to make himself champion by the end of WrestleMania 9, which was one of the worst WrestleManias of all time. Some say worse than WrestleMania 11, but WrestleMania 11 was kind of awkward. I mean, you could have had the Bret Hart Orndorff match or the Shawn Michaels Diesel match go last, but no, LT versus Bam Bam. And he did film and TV, but then he was lured back to the ring by WCW, signing at Disney World in Orlando, and beat Ric Flair for the World Heavyweight Belt, winning the WCW thing 6 times, and has the longest reign of a World Championship ever. I wonder what the longest reign was. Like, what was the longest reign by days? 469 days. So Hulk won it in 1994 and didn't give it up till 1995 when the Big Show beat him, even though he was supposed to be dead from that sumo match. Nevertheless, he had a career renaissance after Bash at the Beach when he adopted the Hulk Hogan persona and helped the NWO with Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. Part of the Monday Night War between WWE and WCW, headlined Starrcade 3 times, and the '97 one was the most profitable WCW pay per view in company's history, but the whole match was a bullshit thing. Hogan then, after WCW got bought up by WWE 2001, returned to the WWF in 2002 thanks to Vince McMahon putting a lethal dose of poison at Hulk Hogan. I mean, to give NWO. And, he was part of No Way Out in 2002. And then, he decided to fight The Rock at WrestleMania 18, which was an iconic match. And then a month later, after that match, he beat Triple H for the undisputed belts, and that was his 6th reign. And then he lost to the Undertaker, and then had some weird feuds, especially with McMahon at WrestleMania 19, which McMahon got what was coming to him. He was inducted to the WWE Hall of Fame in 2005 and inducted a second time in 2020 as member of the NWO. He also played. He also performed for AWA and even was part of New Japan Wrestling and Total Nonstop Action Wrestling (TNA). He had an extensive acting career. He was in Rocky 3 in 1982, and then he starred in several films like No Holds Bar and Suburban Commando and Mr. Natty. And then 3 TV shows: Hogan Knows Best, Thunder in Paradise in China, Illinois, which was, as this pop up said, an Adult Swim movie. He was in Rayguard commercials, the video game Hulk Hogan's main event on Connect, which sucks because the Connect peripheral had to be done and it just didn't work out. He was born on August 11, 1953, the son of Peter and Ruth. He had Italian, Panamanian, Scottish, and French descent. He was a musician in all that early years, and then he went to the WWF from 1979 to 1981. Being introduced by Terry Funk to Vincent J. McMahon, Vince Vince the older, as I call him, Vince the senior. Um, McMahon wanted Hogan to dye his hair red and have an Irish name and last name Hogan. Bollea said, Hulk said his hair was beginning falling out and refused to dye, saying, "I'll be a blonde Irish." Anyway, he made his first appearance at Madison Square Garden, beating Ted DiBiase after a bear hug. So, anyway, he wrestled Bob Backlund for the WWF belt and had his first big WWF feud with Andre the Giant, which was again at Shea Stadium in a clash in August 1980. He was a villain and paired himself with Classy Freddie Blassie. It was part of New Japan Pro Wrestling from 1980 to 1985. So yeah, you know what it means. And then he was part of AWA, um, the American Wrestling Association, before it disintegrated into a team event in 1990 and then had to be taped in a TV studio. He's part of Rocky 3, and Vincent J. McMahon disapproved and released Hogan. Hogan went to the AWA. He was supposed to do well against Nick Bogwinkle. I said Stan Stasiak when I did my live stream. I'm stupid. It's Bogwinkle. But the AWA president, Stanley Blackburn, overturned it because of the use of a foreign object. And basically, Hogan left the AWA by 1983. And then Vincent K. McMahon, aka Vince the Younger, realized how good Hulk was and managed to get him back in. He made his return at a TV taping December 1983, and then January 1984, he became a face, saving Bob Backlund from assault by the Wild Samoans. Because 3 weeks later, um, he was the last man replacement for Bob Backlund, who would have faced the Iron Sheik to get back his WWF crown, which Hogan won. I mean, no, sorry, that the Iron Sheik won. Iron Sheik had his camel clutch, but thankfully Hogan escaped it. Unfortunately, if you watch the original version, you know that the Iron Sheik had something in his pants. That's all I'm gonna say. Nevertheless, Hogan beat the Sheik, and Hulkamania is here. Monsoon proclaimed it. And then Hogan called the 3 demandments. You train, you say your prayers, and your vitamins. I thought you drink your milk. It's training. Fuck. And then his 4th demandment, believing in yourself, was made in 1990. His ring entrances would have him ripping his shirt off his body, flexing and listening for audience cheers and exaggerated effort. All that. He had international renown because of the whole MTV thing and WrestleMania 1, doing his tours before the thing as Hogan and Mr. T defeated Piper and Orndorff, with Cowboy Bob Orton, who was helping Piper and Orndorff, actually knocking out his own team. Hogan would face Orton in a WWF World Heavyweight Belt thing on the first Saturday's main event, but Hogan won by disqualification. He was on Sports Illustrated, TV Guide, People covers, and very requested for Make a Wish, kind of like what John Cena is like now. And had his CBS Saturday morning cartoon Hulk Hogan's Brocken Wrestling, which was a decent one. Yeah, it was exaggerated, a little bit biased, and all that crapola. But yeah, Hulk Hogan was an icon. Yeah, he co-hosted Saturday Night Live the night before WrestleMania 1, and that was huge. Yeah, Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling was decent. It was supposed to be a linchpin for WWE Network in 2015, but after Hogan's stupidity, which you'll see in the controversies, he had trouble. He would fight many matches. He beat King Kong Bundy in a steel cage in WrestleMania 2. And then Hogan was booked to defend the title against Andre the Giant. Andre turned heel. Andre was gracious towards Hulk and didn't want to be champion. He wanted to be Andre the Giant. But when he aligned himself with Bobby the Brain Heenan, that all came for crash. Andre faced Hogan, and Hogan successfully defended the title and had that body slam on Andre, which everyone thought was fantastic. But the problem was Hulk had slammed Andre before 1980, that match at Shea Stadium, and also in Nihon, or Japan, you and me. So anyway, yeah, Hogan was WWF champion for 1,474 days, about 4 years, losing to Andre on the main event, which was a spinoff of Saturday Night's Main Event. NBC doing the Friday night show from Indianapolis. Of course, it was biased because of the hand-picked referee by Ted DiBiase, and Hogan's shoulder was clearly off the mat. So anyway, Andre actually turned the title to DiBiase to have a business deal, and then the championship was vacated. At WrestleMania 4, Hogan would be in that tournament. He and Andre were given a bye into the quarterfinals and faced each other, but it was a double disqualification. Andre actually was the victim of Hulk first, but Andre decided to swing at Hogan with the chair, which was stupid because Andre would have won the match. But of course, Andre would have had to face DiBiase, and there would have been weirdness. Hogan, Savage, and Miss Elizabeth had the Mega Powers, and they had a great SummerSlam match in 1988, the first SummerSlam, when they feuded with the Mega Bucks, aka Andre and DiBiase. Unfortunately, though, um, you know, the Mega Powers exploded because Savage thought that Hogan had lust for Miss Elizabeth and all that, and then they decided to have a wrestling match at WrestleMania 5 for the title, but unfortunately, Hulk beat Savage. Hulk would deal with No Holds Barred, the movie, which wasn't really the best movie in the round. Zeus was terrible in the WWE. And then Hulk would face Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania 6 in T Dot for the belt, title for title, but Ultimate Warrior beat him cleanly, as you may know. And then Hulk decided to have a little bit of an ego trip, raising Warrior's hand. A lot of people said, oh, he was being gracious, but some people think he was being an egomaniac. He then had a feud with Earthquake, and then he won the Royal Rumble in 1991. In the same event, Warrior lost his title to Sergeant Slaughter. He became an Iraqi sympathizer, and you know that was just huge because Sergeant Slaughter was an American hero, but then he turned on America. Hogan would beat Sarge for the title at WrestleMania 7 at the LA Arena, which was supposed to be at the LA Coliseum in front of like 90,000 fans, but because of slow ticket sales and maybe because a death threat or two on Slaughter's life, they moved to a smaller venue. Nevertheless, Hogan would have the title, but then lose to The Undertaker at Survivor Series, thanks to Ric Flair coming from the WCW and holding the WCW belt. Interfered with the match. Hogan would get his title back 6 days later, but it was through chicanery, and that meant the 92 Royal Rumble would end up being where the WWE champion would be. And thanks to Sid Justice, Hogan didn't win the match. But Hogan ruined Sid's chances to beat Ric Flair and all that. Hulk would face Sid Justice at WrestleMania 8 in what would seem to be his retirement match and all that. Unfortunately, though, Hogan would have to take a leave of absence from the WWE because of the steroids issue. He then would team up with Bruce Beefcake to face Money Inc., aka IRS, and DiBiase for the tag belts at WrestleMania 9, which they lost because of disqualification. And then Hulk politicked himself to win the belt. He used his influence. Hogan would defend the title against Yokozuna at King of the Ring June 13th, but unfortunately, Yokozuna won thanks to a fireball from Harvey Wimbledon. Yokozuna won. Of course, a lot of people said that Hulk Hogan did not want to drop the belt to Bret Hart at SummerSlam. This would have been passing the torch, but no, he didn't and left in '93. He would return to New Japan Pro Wrestling for a little bit, then got wooed by WCW, defeating Ric Flair at Bash at the Beach '94 in the Dream match. Hogan would be champion until Halloween Havoc when he lost to the Giant. And because of the controversial loss, the WCW belt was vacated and they had a 60-man 3-ring battle royal, which was supposed to be this brand new thing. You know, it's kind of crazy. Anyway, Hulk was a good guy and then he somehow decided to turn heel at Bash of the Beach and leg drop Randy Savage. And the fans were pelting garbage at Hulk Hogan. And he said that he would have the New World Order with Nash and Hall, the outsiders. Hogan decided to grow a beard alongside his famous mustache, dyed it black, and basically turned in his red and yellow for black and white things, and called himself Hollywood Hulk Hogan and all that. And of course, he was being like huge and all that. Unfortunately, though, at Fashion Beach in 2000, Hogan would face Jeff Jarrett for the belt, but Jarrett laid down for Hulk, and Hulk insulted Vince Russo while getting the pin. And then Vince Russo decided to do some stupid shoot interview, and Hulk decided to sue. Anyway, this was the last time he was seen in WCW, and then he went to XWF, the Excitement Wrestling Federation, and actually accepted a promotion to WWF at No Way Out in Milwaukee. He was a heel, rejoining with Scott Hall and Kevin Nash as the original NWO, and then would have a confrontation with The Rock. And Rock would face Hulk for bragging rights at WrestleMania 18. Guess where? Toronto. And you know Hogan would be there. Um, Hulk wanted to beat Rock by himself and didn't want Hall and Nash around. And the weird thing is, the fans turned on Hulk. I mean, applauded Hulk, even though Hulk was the heel in this thing. They were cheering for him much more than The Rock, who was supposed to be a good guy. So Hogan would actually turn face against his NWO brother, and then decided to go back to his red and yellow stuff and all that. So anyway, Hulk would actually be Triple H for the WWF Championship, which was the last time it was the WWF Championship because of the legal battle with the World Wildlife Fund. And then he would lose the undisputed belt to the Undertaker, and he went on hiatus and all that. He lost to The Rock at No Way Out in Montreal, thanks to a stupid Quebec referee by the name of Sylvain Grenier. And then, of course, you know, Mr. McMahon was a bastard. And Hulk beat McMahon at WrestleMania 19, and then he became Mr. America, and, you know, McMahon was terrible and all that. So, anyway, this is huge and all that. You know, that's weird. So, you know, he got inducted to the Hall of Fame in 2005, and then at WrestleMania 21, he saved Eugene from being attacked by Hassan and Davari. That's kind of awkward and all that. So basically, Hogan and Michaels would be fighting as a pair and all that. And for some strange reason, after Michaels and Hogan defeated Carlito and Angle in a tag match, Michaels turned on Hulk. Hogan wanted Michaels wanted to face Hulk Hogan 1-on-1 for the first time, and Hogan won. Of course, it was supposed to be a trilogy, which both guys would at least win once, but Michaels became bitter when Hulk said, "This is a one-time thing, brother." So yeah, he did lots of things going on. Returned to TNA and January 4th, 2010, he would make his TNA debut opposite WWE Raw, featuring the return of Bret Hart. Hogan would do something with TNA, but he finally came back to WWE by the time WrestleMania 30 happened, but he mistakenly called the Superdome in New Orleans the Silver Dome, and there were a lot of jokes throughout the night. Hulk Hogan looked pretty decent and all that. Unfortunately, though, by July 2015, the National Enquirer publicized a rant Hogan made on a leaked sex tape about black people and all that. It was like awkward. I mean, like, why would you have a why would you rant like that in a sex tape? Nevertheless, WWE terminated everything with Hulk and all that. They decided to remove all references to Hulk, all his merchandise from WWE shop, and part of his WWE Hall of Fame stuff. And of course, Hulk would lose the Rock and Wrestling was supposed to be on WWE Network, but it failed. But thankfully, though, Hogan was reinstated in July 2018, so 3 years he had spent in trouble with Paradise and all that. He made some references. He made a live appearance during the Raw debut of Netflix, accompanied by Jimmy Hart, but unfortunately, though, the fans did not like him. Everyone said he had great legacy, no doubt about that. Food and beverage stuff, including Pasta Mania. Political, he endorsed Donald Trump, of course. A lot of people hated him for that, but what can you do? He was an actor in Rocky 3, Thunder Lips, No Holds Barred, Suburban Commando, Mr. Nanny, Santa with Muscles, and Three Ninjas, 98. Um, he made guest voice appearance on Robot Chicken and American Dad. Robot Chicken, I remember the one episode with him. But yeah, Hogan Knows Best, which was a reality show. Unfortunately, though, that was pathetic because of the whole family dynamic being broken down in front of the cameras, and especially with his son Nick getting involved in an accident that kind of killed somebody. Or no, or paralyzed. I don't know. Anyway, Hogan would be part of comeback series of American Gladiators in 2008 and would host the reality show Hulk Hogan Celebrity Championship Wrestling, which had Danny Bonaducci and Dustin Diamond. No relation to yours truly on there. He was a judge on the sixth season of Tough Enough when things were a little bit different, but because of his scandal, The Miz replaced him. He was a regular guest on Bubba the Love Sponge's radio show. You see the films he was in. He was in Romeo and Juliet. Muppets from Space, he was even in. Television, Rock and Wrestling for the live action parts, Thunder in Paradise, Space Ghost, Coast to Coast, Walker, Texas Ranger, Hogan Knows Best, Robot Chicken. Oh yeah, The Giving Tree in 4 episodes, Celebrity Championship Wrestling, Brooklyn Knows Best, China, Illinois on the thing, American Dad and Stanley Tendergrass. The Goldbergs he was in and Camp WWE. In 2022. I thought Camp WWE ended and all that. From 2016 to 2018. That must be weird. But anyway, yeah, he was in WWE wrestling games and all that. Gotta love it and all that. WCW Forgets the World. Legends of Wrestling. Yeah, he was in. I love the Legends of Wrestling series, even though that it was pathetic. Like they had like 60 legends in Showdown Legends of Wrestling. Even Eddie Guerrero and Rob Van Dam, even though they were still active wrestlers. But yeah, Hulk Hogan was great and all that. Of course, he had his own personal problems. You know, the whole thing with Richard Belzer, because days prior to WrestleMania, he was on hot properties, and Hogan would have to demonstrate one of his wrestling moves. He decided to get Belzer in a chin lock, but Belzer passed out. When Hogan released him, Belzer hit his head on the floor and sued for $5 million, but Little sit out of court for $400,000. Testimony in the McMahon trial, because Hogan had to admit that he took steroids, but he protected Vince McMahon. The prosecution wanted Hogan to destroy Vince McMahon, but Hogan turned tail and all that. Hogan admitted he used anabolic steroids since 1976, but McMahon never sold them the drugs nor ordered them to take them. McMahon was found not guilty, even though that McMahon was saved by Hogan. They had a bad relationship, and then Gawker because of the whole sex tape and all that shit. And Gawker had to give $31 million. Hogan would fabricate elements of his past, a lot of things you see there. He married 3 times. His first wife, Linda, were having Brooke and Nick and all that. Unfortunately, though, Hogan would have an affair with Christiana Plant and all that. Linda would file for divorce. Hulk had a lot of problems and only retained 30% of the liquid assets, and then almost committed suicide, but Layla Ali saved his butt. He had a relationship with Jennifer McDaniel and married in 2010, but they divorced in 2022. And then he was engaged to a yoga instructor and married September 2023. And Hogan was baptized at a Baptist church in Largo, Florida. He had many health problems, particularly with his back. He went through traditional spinal fusion surgery in December 2010, and it was good. But unfortunately, though, he had to go through half a dozen unnecessary spinal operations that worsened his back problems, and then he had cardiac arrest and all that shit. See all his stuff, match of the year, inspirational wrestler of the year, blah, 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 blah. Look at all this shit. Look at all this stuff. Match of the year 1991 against Tenryu. Most obnoxious. I'm actually surprised.
Tag team attraction, scheduled for one fall.
I should have been analysis.
One.
pin.
One.
No submission.
One. Two.
No submission.
Look at this. This is what we're talking about. This is pure ultra violence. This is insane. We got chairs, we got sharp objects, we've got blunt objects, we've got steel guardrails. And
One. Two.
No pin.
look at this. This is what we're talking about. This is pure ultra violence. This is insane. We got chairs, we got sharp objects.
One. Two.
No, I finally had it.
One. Two.
No pin. Ah, we almost had a pin for Andre Hook.
It is a mess.
He is a mess.
One.
Whoops.
One. Two.
Oh, and the Mega Power survives.
One.
No pin.
One. Two.
No pin.
One. Two.
No, the Mega Power survives.
One. Two.
Ropes.
One. Two.
Oh, Mega Powers fail.
One. Two. And he gets three.
That's it at 37-12. Mega Powers, Kachi! Giant win for the Mega Powers. Let's go some action. The Mega Powers. Change command. 5 stars. Like fine. So yeah, the rest.